Hey guys, what's going on? Nabeel Khan here with another episode of the DigiTree Academy live stream podcast. Today we have a very special guest with us, and today we want to discuss IT professionals building wealth through passive income streams and consulting. And we have one of great leaders from Africa, who is the CEO of COSDEF Group Limited. He's been running his business out of Africa and has been able to work within 27 plus countries, as well as build his businesses from the ground up in Africa. His name is Dr. Javnyuy Joybert. We want to welcome him, bring him in on our podcast, and discuss IT professionals and building wealth through passive income streams. Dr. Joybert, welcome to the live stream podcast, sir. How are you doing today? Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Nabeel, and thank you for having me on your podcast. And it's good to share a couple of perspectives and why not just exchange with you and also learn. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us. As you know, our goal here at the Academy is to really empower IT professionals to productize their knowledge and expertise into sustainable IT coaching and consulting businesses. So we want to give them some value today and some guidance into what they can do depending on where they are in their careers and depending on if it's the right time for them to productize their expertise and start to think about some passive income stream options for these IT professionals. So let's get into this podcast. I want to hear first from you, Dr. Joybert. Let's talk a little bit about your background. Tell the viewers about Dr. Joybert, about how he got into IT coaching consulting and how you got to becoming the CEO of COSDEF Group Limited.
I have always been fun about business. I remember one time at a very young age asking my mom, what kind of subjects do I need to study so that I can one day work with the World Bank? And that was how my journey into business started. And my mom told me that I should study commerce and finance, I should study accounting, I should study economics and all these business subjects. And that was how I started loving business from a very early age when I started secondary school in about 2002. And since then, I have studied business basically all my life. My undergraduate is in business, financial management. My MBA, I did MBA. I did a doctorate degree in business administration. So I've always been a fan of business. And I got my first job while I was still in my undergraduate, and that is the only job I've ever had. And I resigned from that job in 2012 to start my journey into entrepreneurship. And I've always loved to teach. I've always loved to share and to coach. And that was how I set up my first training institute back then in 2012. And I have not looked back since then. And my passion is, I love to see people improve things. I love to see productivity. I love high performance. I just love results around me. And that's why I think that drives me a lot as a person. Over time, I have grown to learn. God has been faithful. And what I started in my small town, I didn't know that, I would travel the world. I would speak to top executives and CEOs here and there. And God has been faithful. And here we are today, I'm still doing what it started just as a very small dream several years ago.
Wow, that's such an amazing story. I mean, like, what resonates with me there is that you started your business in 2012, and in your mind, you had an idea of starting to, train and coach people into, a certain skill, right? Because at that point, you were like, man, I gotta start something for passive income stream. I'm into business. I want to do something. So what was the initial light bulb that went off, Dr. Joybert, in your head back in 2012 when you're like, hey, I'm going to leave this job and I'm going to focus on business? Like, what was that light bulb that went off in your head?
Let me just say the power of purpose, the power of conviction. I had a job in finance, and I was working in one of the biggest microfinance in the region at the time. So I had a very good job, and I left a very good job, well-paying job, to move to become a teacher in a secondary school with a lesser salary. So that that was because I saw that the best way, because I was not a trained trainer. I didn't have the experience and the skills to stand in front of people to teach and all of that. So I noticed that a good way to pursue my passion is to leave the corporate setting and venture into being a teacher in a local secondary school. And I actually went back to my alma mater where I did my secondary school, and I became a business management teacher there. And since they were experiencing a shortage of teachers, and that was how I started. And I was just not happy sitting in the office. I was not just happy being in the corporate sector, wearing a tie and a suit and all of that. Although I love finance, I love business. It was part of what I've always loved to do. Remember, my first love was to be a banker. So I was actually on my path to building a banking career because I got my first job in the microfinance sector. But at one morning, I just woke up. It was on the 2nd of January after New Year that I went to the office and I deposited my resignation letter that, you know what, I'm not going to work again. And what are you going to do? I'm going to be a teacher, right? And that was the path to training, speaking, consulting, coaching till today. There's always that day that you wake up and like, you know what, I'm not going to take this again. I'm going to pursue my passion, my purpose, what I'm convicted about, what I believe in. And there's always that thing that just, you don't know where it comes from, but it just gives you this absolute belief and possibility that you're going somewhere beautiful. You don't know how you're going to get there, but you're convicted inside of you, despite the challenges. At some point after I left my job, I was not able to pay my house rent. I was not able to pay my bills. I started living with friends here and there because what I was being paid as a trainer, as a teacher, was not good enough. But I believe that there is a beautiful future ahead of me. I didn't know how I was going to get there, but I was very convicted. And every day I loved doing what I was doing. I love seeing students. Sometimes I would do after school programs in the house, in the church, wherever I could just gather young people and speak to them, I would actually do it. So until today, I'm just always happy that the passion is always there. If you reach out to me to speak to you or to have a podcast like this, and I don't say yes, then know that I'm totally filled up, right? So because there's always that fire, let me say so, in me, that like when you reached out, oh, I'm excited, and I went checked you out and saw what you were doing with your academy, and like, oh, this is what resonates with me, and here we are. So the good news with me with what I like is the light bulb has always been there. From that day to today, that light bulb has never gone off. So, and I don't think it's ever going to go off anytime soon. Yeah,
that's awesome. I mean, that's what it is. Once that light bulb goes off, I mean, you already know that it's a long road, ahead. But let's go back to that time, when you started, right? I mean, now you've thought about back in 2012. Okay, I'm going to make a difference. I'm going to start a business, and I've had this moment, right? Now you have to identify, right, the path forward and the path through the struggles, especially at an early stage where you have to identify your expertise at that point, right? Because it's something new that you're getting into teaching. But when you get into business and you're like, man, I got to identify what my real expertise is. How do you go through that thought process in your head when, let's say for somebody who is an IT professional today starting to think about their online business, the first thing they would have to do, in my opinion, is identifying their expertise, right? What they're good at. Yeah. So give some tips to our viewers and somebody watching, what they can do for them to identify that particular expertise. Or what you did maybe, back in 2012. Maybe share your story.
Yeah. I think this particular question actually resonates a lot with what I get to do a lot with clients across different countries, just working with people to help them start up and have the right packaging, have the right product offers and all of that. No matter where you are, whether you are starting, you are at the growth stage, you are at the maturity stage, or even you are entering, or you are at the saturation stage and you are confused on what next step to take. And I think this is one of those important phases in life or your career where if you get it right, you will always get to do a lot, because your clients or the people that come to you will definitely get more value and pay you if they understand what you're offering as value from your skills, from your knowledge, from your experience, and all of that. And the first thing I always like to talk about in this area is two things. What are people asking you, which they believe that you can provide value for, and how can you convert this into a package that they can understand. Like, for example, people used to come to me because I read business. They know that I read business and all of that, or they hear that I talk about business. They'll come to me, oh, I want to start a business, but I don't know what to do. I don't know which idea is good. Okay, how do you package that as an expert or an experienced professional? Because you know what they can go through to be able to have a good idea. To me, what I did was I said, okay, you know what? I created a course, number one, where people can do a self-analysis and create business ideas from their experience, what they studied in school, from what they grew up doing, or from what they are trained to do, and all of that. Number two, idea validation. So you just package it in a step-by-step form that people can read and understand. Oh, if I go through these steps, I can be able to start a very good business. It's the same like IT professionals. For example, maybe somebody following this podcast right now, you successfully got a good job with a multinational company as an IT engineer. And there is a young university graduate who is skillful, but totally lost on how to even apply for a job or even where to look for the job. You can package the process you went through to successfully get a job and even sell to younger professionals who want to do something and they have no idea. Or the second thing is maybe you successfully transition from a corporate job into a startup CEO. And how can you package the steps you went through in a way that somebody can follow a step-by-step process, and of course adding their own intelligence and contextualizing it, and they're able to do something possible. The beautiful thing about teaching is always answer the question, how can somebody go through this knowledge and go through a step-by-step process and execute what I did, or even do better than me, adding their own knowledge, their own experience, and their own intelligence. When we do that, we'll be able to start marketing, and doing that. Let me give another example. I don't have an IT background. I'm pure business trained. I'm the money man. I'm the man where you build the software, I look for the clients, and we sell, right? So I got into IT. I'm a co-founder of an IT firm. I don't know what a code looks like. The first day I saw a code, I was confused. What is this, right? I have no idea.
Absolutely.
But I have good experience in providing consulting in digital transformation, in helping IT guys, create better products that have good user experience, are marketable. I've helped people launch their IT products to the market here and there. And all of these, I did not go to a full program or a full school that would train me to become an IT product consultant or a market entry consultant as far as IT products are concerned. I just had to look at, okay, I have this, they have this challenge. Because tech guys started coming to me. They will build an app and nobody's downloading it. How do I get people to download this app and use? And I started building IT consulting packages from the questions they were asking me. I started, some will come to me, I will design a package and teach them on how to be good presenters and good public speakers so they can present their apps better. So it's all about, we should stop trying to craft things from space because people feel that it's too difficult. No, it starts from you. It starts from you. What did you do? And just pick a pen and document what was the first step you did. Just do a scratch program on an empty sheet of paper. What was the first step? You write it down. Second, third, fourth, fifth. Then you start fleshing it out. And you try to structure it in a way anybody can read it, they can walk, they can see a step-by-step process that you went through, and they can resonate with it. Because most likely, most of the clients will be from your environment. So you guys likely think the same. You go through the same challenges. Let's say you're in India, you're in Pakistan, you're in Africa, you're even in the United States. Most of your first customers will be guys around you. So you have a lot of similarities, similar challenges, similar perspective, similar clients, similar legal compliance issues and all of that. So it's easier for them to look through what you went through and fit themselves to that process, and they go through. And your coaching partner comes in where you can still be available to still walk them through to successfully do this. I always believe that anybody can teach anybody something as long as you did it. I always believe that.
Absolutely. No, you're absolutely right. And through that model, right? I mean, it's also being able to have a model that can scale, right? I mean,
Exactly.
once you're, let's say if you're solving 100 different problems, right, for 100 different types of people, it becomes very hard for you to scale. But when you're laser focused on your problem and
Hmm.
your target market, right, your target audience, you know, hey, this is what their deep concerns are of my
Yeah.
target market, and my messaging should resonate, or my communication or my product should resonate exactly to those target markets pain points,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And that makes it a scalable model for for us to solve that one particular problem and then tackle the next one. Right, because what happens is I see a lot of entrepreneurs trying to, you know, get confused and think about, hey, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. They
Yeah.
don't have a single focus on one particular problem and crushing it and then going on to the next, right? So with that, like, explain to, I guess, the viewers how important it is for them to define their target audience in their process of developing their marketing plan or developing their business plan when they're going through right at the early stages of their business. You know, they've identified their expertise. Now it's time for them to define a target market. So what are some you know things that they can use, or how can they you know, think about essentially trying to figure out who they can, you know, target? Because from my personal perspective, right, you always want to look at the closest people within your group to start a business,
Hmm.
because the closest hanging fruits are like the ones that you can go after tomorrow and make an impact, right, in their lives, especially if your skill sets aligns with what you're trying to solve.
Yeah.
So defining a target audience, how important it is, what can the viewers do, you know, to figure that out for themselves?
You know, I always say, and I believe that the power of identifying your target audience is that it makes your marketing very easy.
Yeah.
You are not marketing it, you know exactly who you are going to market to. And at the startup phase, there's one thing that characterizes every startup: limited resources. Right?
Yeah.
And, and one thing that target marketing helps you do is that it helps you minimize wasting resources in marketing everywhere and not seeing results. When you do target marketing, you use your limited marketing budget and you market to the right people. So it's very important to go through the right research process, or to create a customer persona. Just look at yourself. Yes, you know, it's possible that a product can serve more than two, three types of customers, but there is always a primary group of people that your product can reach out to, solve their greatest pain points, create the greatest value for them, and most importantly, people who have the money to pay and the willingness to pay for the value that you have created. So creating time to create a persona based on your experience, your skills, your value, and the product. Which group of people in the marketplace face these pain points the highest? And which group of people will not see this value as a nice to have, but they will see this value as a must have? You know, when your value is a must have, you can guarantee that you're going to sell. And the only way to make your value a must have is for you to make sure you are targeting the right people. So creating a customer persona and going to the market, or interviewing people, or doing a survey to make sure that you are actually targeting the right people can change your business from the very beginning. When I'm doing startup consulting, I have one of my policies is, we are not going anywhere with your product if you don't bring data that you have interviewed at least 200 people. Because I've seen things, Nabeel. People sit in their houses and imagine that customers have a problem.
Yeah.
It's dangerous.
Yeah.
Don't imagine that I have a problem. So every day I see startups doing these mistakes. Somebody just sit and imagine that people have this problem, and they build an app for it and expect people to download. Who are you really building the app for? Yes, ideas start from imagination, but it's good to go out, talk to people, send surveys, do calls, do interviews, whatever you can do. Be very certain that what you imagine is actually real in the marketplace. When you do this target market identification, it solves a lot of your problems. And the beauty about this is it also stops you from spending time, resources, building a solution nobody will buy.
Yeah.
I have seen startup entrepreneurs take their life savings and they build a product nobody would, not people don't buy, because they do not go through the right process of creating a target market, validating it, talking to them, making sure that these people actually have a pain point and what they're building can actually solve the pain point. And one of the things that you can also do to make sure that you are sure as far as the target market is concerned is create a small prototype and test it. What they call the lean startup. If you can create a prototype, start very small, and because you have $100 million doesn't mean that you should go big.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You can have $100 million and take 5 years to ever use all that money.
Yeah.
You can take 5 years to reach mass commercialization. You can have $100 million and still use $200,000 and start small, just to make sure that you are very certain about your value and the target market. The next thing is make sure there's still a lot of power in talking to your target market, to your potential target market. There's a lot of power. There's a lot of power in creating a survey and having people just feel. Don't just assume that your friends are going to buy. And again, I always advise this, please. If you're about to launch a new product and under your family and friends buy from you, you need to go beyond that. Your friends can buy out of pity. Your family members can buy because they want to make you feel good. You can be certain of your product, of your value, if somebody buys out of nowhere, because they honor the value that the product will create for them, not because they know you. And that is the power of target marketing, of making sure that you identify your target market and you're doing the right thing. And sometimes, I always say, sometimes in this process, learn to be patient. Don't be so excited. Don't be so anxious. Don't be so quick to just build. If you don't have the right data, make sure you get the right data. And of course, I'm not talking about perfection. Startup entrepreneurs don't go for perfection. Sometimes you just get a sense that, the right data, you just get the right conception, you get the right perspective, you get the right yes and no's, you can take the risk. As they say, entrepreneurship is jumping out of a plane and building a parachute while you're still in the air, right? So just having the right data around from certain group of people, you can use, validate, create a good customer persona, and you can move forward one step at a time. And that's why I love the power of lean startup, because while you're moving forward, you're trying to sell, you're trying to get customers, you are not, even if you fail, you're not going to lose all your money or all your capital or all the money that you kept aside just for this startup. And if you fail, you can always improve, innovate, add something new, get help, while you still have capital that you can keep on funding your experiments and, of course, your products as you perfect for the market.
Absolutely. I mean, it's the feedback that you can receive from, your target market regarding how you have to adjust certain things, right? Because it's all about adaptation, right?
Exactly.
And one thing you mentioned, right? Like, we have to validate our offer, our product, and nothing validates our offer and our product better than, making a sale, right? Even one sale you make, if it's, as you said, if it's, as long as it's not your family or somebody not buying out of pity,
oh yeah,
one sale will let you know that, hey, this is a product that I can sell, and maybe there's another 100 people just like this with the
exactly.
same problem that I can sell to. You just have to go find them, right? And if you can narrow that down and have a focused vision on paper, because again, it's not just about thinking through this process. It's about jotting it down on paper, doing the work that it could take at the start of your business to do the hard part, which is not really hard, right? With the technology that we have, you can leverage ChatGPT and so many other things to help them create this process and continuously refine, right? So we have so many technologies in place that can fasten the process for them, for IT professionals looking to start their businesses, as well as, teaming up with, partners that are already doing these things, right, to help them along the way and fasten that process. So, like, how crucial is it, Dr. Joybert, to find the right partners at the right time, especially, for IT professionals that, again, they might even know the process. They know what to do. They know, hey, I have to go identify my expertise. I have to define my target audience, but they're not able to hold themselves accountable, even though they know the process, right? But once they get into a particular professional level coaching, and they know, hey, I have to be able to, now deliver on it, because I'm going to be held accountable to get this thing done, even though it's for their own businesses, right? How important is it to work with the right people that can help them along the way and guide them through their journey, so it can fast forward the process, rather it be, technology or the knowledge itself, or being able to get them launched quickly and marketing and generating sales.
I think it's so important. From my experience and opinion, one thing I've learned with tech guys or IT people is that many of them are not very good salespeople. Many of them are introverts, or many of them are, they're not very outgoing, and many of them are so technical that they don't know the business part. Sometimes when I'm talking to my business partner, the tech guy, he's always talking about, this technology is amazing. We're using this new tech and all of that. Just tech part. But me, I'm looking at how will customers see this. Customers don't care whether they're using whether they're using the best programming language or the latest programming language. They have no idea about that, right? So just understanding how you can get the right partners and collaboration, and how these partners can come in and be able to, cover up or fill up where you are weak, is very powerful. It's possible to see many tech guys and they have very good products, but they're not making money from it because they are not good with business development. They're not good with marketing and sales. They're not good at attending meetings and negotiations and closing deals. They're not good with B2B and all of these things. They totally have no idea, but they're so passionate. They are so hardworking. They have the product is ready, but money is not coming in. Right? Even some have the product and they have been trying to build with just their resources, and they don't even know how to raise capital from investors or apply for grants. They don't have the skills to do this, right? And some don't even, they are not even excited about all of these things. So I always encourage people to, even when you study the great companies, no great company was built by one person. Yes, it's possible to start alone, but if you're going to go far, you're going to need people. You're going to need the right partners, people that can believe in your vision, they are convicted about it like you, and they can contribute and take it forward. And in this case, you're not just bringing people because you are desperate for people or because you are lonely. You are bringing in people who have the right skills, who have the right knowledge and experience that can fill some gaps that you have identified in your business, in your operations, and you're very certain that if I get this person, it's going to advance the business forward this way. If I get this person, it's going to move us forward this way, right? And it's very important to be conscious. And again, as I said, with most startup entrepreneurs, at the beginning, they start alone. Most people start alone. And it's good that when you start alone, when you're building, be conscious that someday you're going to bring people. You're going to have senior partners. You're going to have senior collaborators. You're going to have investors and angel investors, venture capitalists, whoever that you're going to have someday. Have that mindset that people are going to join you as you build. And of course, some people are lucky enough that when they're still starting, they get the right help. But for some people, until they build the right track record and have proof of concept or prototype, they're not going to get anybody believing in them. Which one, anyone that works for you, be very conscious that you are going to need people who are going to come in and work with you. And at some point, you don't need to wait for people to come. You need to go look for people, because if you believe in that vision and you don't want it to die, you should be comfortable at reaching out to people. Hey, I see you're good with this. I'm building this. How can we come together and make this work, right? So, and again, I would like to emphasize, asking for help is not a sign of weakness. Asking for help is a sign of maturity and understanding that there are things in life you would never do on your own effectively and produce the right result.
Well, absolutely. I mean, it's like I'm gonna share an example of when I started my business. Right, my thought process again was to build a team from the beginning. I started alone, for the first couple of months, but when you start, right, again, you realize that hey, there's going to be problems every day that you're going to have to face, and
Mm-hmm.
then you realize, hey, I have to now prioritize these problems based on how it affects my business. So whichever one's dollar wise affects my
Mm-hmm.
business, whichever problem
Yeah.
in my priority board, I'd be like, hey, this is what I need to hire first and bring on board and go down up that priority list, right? Because building a team, as you said, it should be everyone's goal, especially, I mean, if your vision is much bigger to create something big, right? I mean, it's okay for someone to not have that vision, and it's totally okay to just have smaller passive income streams and
Mm-hmm.
still work their corporate jobs, which is totally fine. But somebody looking for a much bigger vision, it's imperative for them to really find the right partners and have a board and realize that hey, I need to prioritize the skill sets that I will need along the way that impacts my business directly, dollar wise. So sales is the lifeblood of the business, right? Without sales we can't really do anything, right? So before you build anything, you got to have a good sales
Yeah.
person, at least somebody who can reach out consistently and generate sales. If there's no dollars in the business, there is no business, right? So all problems, come after sales problems is my kind of quote. That once you have your sales issue figured out a little bit, then you can move on to your other problems
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
business. So that's awesome. Let's talk about Dr. Joybert. Some like why is it important again for IT professionals to have a diversification of income? I know a lot of them, work corporate jobs, and they're sometimes some people might be, happy doing what they're doing, but they just want to add additional passive streams of income. So, why is it important for us to diversify our income? I mean, is it smart for them to rely on their contract jobs or somebody where they're working, while also they can build a passive income stream with like maybe an hour a day, hour and a half a day? I know people that do it in the IT industry. They're crushing it, with their digital products as well as their jobs, and they're almost
Mm-hmm.
millionaires now, because of the discipline and consistency that they've shown. And which is, I think, in IT world, we have so many. The IT professionals are very disciplined in that sense that they know how to command teams and really get the results, right? Especially scrum masters and agile coaches.
Mm-hmm.
um, so how important it is for them to diversify their income? I mean, where does that help them besides just having extra money for spending? Like,
I think apart from the money and also looking at the fact that as days go by, the global economy becomes more unpredictable. Since COVID-19 and all the potential talks about recession and inflation globally, having passive income becomes very important. Should in case, you never know what can happen to your company. There are large companies laying off thousands of employees basically like every week right now. So it's important. And also, but I also think that apart from the money, it puts us, or it puts people in a place where they can begin to help other young professionals to also transition into the marketplace or to create more value for the marketplace. Because one fact is there are a lot of young people who don't know what to do. They have the passion, they have the energy, they are willing to work hard, but structured or conventional education is not able to provide them the real-time marketplace help that they need, uh, um, especially in Asia, in Africa. It's very popular, and very important for experienced professionals, IT professionals to begin to do this. Not just the money, but they are providing that platform where they can transfer their real marketplace experience and skills and what they did to produce better results for themselves that other young professionals can begin to learn. So the impact too begins to come in. And of course, there are many people that, like entrepreneurs, who want to start businesses, and they may not have the time to go take a 6 months, 1 year program to learn certain things. But there are some short courses that IT professional must have done that are very practical, straight to the point, that an entrepreneur can take 1 hour or 30 minutes, go through it, and they learn something that can go change their business. You see, that alone is very important for them to do. Yeah, and again, I think the place of fulfillment, that fulfillment, that you are part of something bigger than just earning a salary and being able to pay some bills, but you're part of something way bigger as a person. When you get to receive feedback how somebody's life is much better than how it used to be because they went through your body of knowledge, I don't think there's nothing replaces that feeling. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, and it also allows them to really open up and invest as well, right, into things that they want to invest in, right? Because
Exactly.
it gives them the opportunity to grow their their wealth. When they're having more wealth come to them, they can invest it, and do good in the world with it, and it'll come back to you. That's my personal belief as well with it, right? So there's a lot of options for people to do what they can with extra financial income, which is which is great. And so what are some ways, besides digital products and having online courses, what are some other ways that they can they can start to have passive income? I mean, I know affiliate marketing is a big one right now. There's affiliate marketing they can do. They can do different types of online courses or digital products based on like resume writing services. But what else is like out there for these people, for IT professionals, right, in regards to passive income streams? Like, what can they leverage besides just the actual content and the online courses and the digital products? Is there anything else that they can use besides those things?
Yeah, I think again, with all those that you have mentioned, if they are also able to understand that deeper, create more time and know more about it and take it further, as you mentioned about scaling, it's very important. People just know about digital products here and there, but I still see people struggling to tap the value and the gold mine that is in digital products. And meanwhile, the market is there. And I still don't counsel or remove books. Books are still very powerful now in terms of I like to call them books that systemize or create processes that people can go through. It's very important. If you have been able to successfully do something as an IT professional with some track record of success, if you can be able to write a good practical book or an implementation book that somebody can pick, go through, and be able to produce good results. Like one of those books that I recently published was, I just sat and I noticed that over the years I have developed several marketing and sales strategies for different companies and individuals. And I said, okay, you know what? Just put them all together in a book and launch. And that is what led to one of my books, Skyrocket Your Profits, the 30 marketing and sales strategies. These are just books I've just copied, put together anything I've ever advised somebody as far as marketing and sales is concerned. I fleshed it up and made it better, gave some ideas here and there. And people have received incredible feedback of how people are able to learn a lot. The second thing, of course, is if people can learn. I think group coaching is becoming so powerful. Virtual group coaching, just maybe using a Zoom session, Google Meet, whatever platform you can use, and you're able to structure a very good group coaching. Because of time constraint, group coaching is just like the big brother of one-on-one coaching that you can also provide. But if you are providing instead of taking 1 hour to coach one person, how can you structure and take 1 hour and coach 5 people, and the 5 people get to pay you? It's like the economics of scale for coaching, right? Yeah. Doing a lot more with less resources becomes so powerful. And of course, another thing that is so powerful is, I still validate the importance of physical workshops. having creating good physical workshops where people can come and you can walk them through a practical way of doing things is so powerful, because it could be on Saturdays for you, it could be on your off days, and you just have a good structure. You through that you can be able to provide part-time jobs with other people who can work for you, put all these workshops together with you, and you can be able to do a lot more in the marketplace as a professional. And another thing that we can talk about is, I want to mention specifically to SME coach consulting or startup consulting, because as an experienced professional, you can do this with two objectives: create impact and make the money you can make from it. There are many startups that don't have the money to pay high profile consultants. But one funny thing is that what they will love to pay a high profile consultant for, an IT professional who is not a trained certified consultant, can actually help them solve that problem, because that may be what they are doing on a daily basis and solving the problem on a daily basis in a bigger company. So you can start working with startups at helping them to grow, get paid in the process, is also a good passive source of income. And whatever thing that you can automate, I mean, what we can make money from now in the knowledge economy, there are so many platforms to use than what we used to have 10 years ago or 15 years ago, right? So just also being open enough to look at various platforms that are creating opportunities for creators becomes you can discover so many passive income opportunities from that. And of course, why not become a speaker? The event organizers, it's also a good platform of passive income. Guys, you can train yourself in public speaking skills, presentation skills, and training skills, facilitation skills, and market yourself. Create a good profile. Start creating content that positions you as a speaker, as a trainer, as a facilitator, and people can hire you for their private or public events, and you get paid, and at the same time you are creating transformation in the marketplace.
That's awesome. Absolutely right. I mean, it really depends, right? With your skill sets, as you said, and if you can align your skill sets based on, the value you want to provide, that's probably the best way to go about it, right? Because then it just makes it easy for that person, because it comes naturally, whatever they're building, right? So, I mean, if speaking for some people, comes naturally, for some people it takes lots of work. Right. So for someone like you, I'm sure Dr. Joybert, you seem like a guy to me that speaking comes naturally to. That's how I see it. But I'm sure there's a lot of practice and a lot of work that went behind it. Right. That makes you a great speaker. So in anything, even with the skill set that you have, particularly, right, it requires polishing. It requires consistent improvement on our own skill sets, continuous learning. I mean, last, podcast, I was having a conversation with Dr. Francis Ambunya, right? And, he brought up that it's imperative for us to, really, as humans, know that, we have to know what value we got to provide, right? If we know the value that we're providing, that can easily align with, exactly what we're going to create and what's our skill sets. So it makes it a little bit easier to think about it in that fashion.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah, it's awesome. And if you guys are joining us right now, we're having a great conversation with Dr. Joybert. There's a link in the description with Dr. Joybert's books. Go ahead. He's written 5 different books, guys. You'll be able to find him on that link. Go grab those books, grab, all the valuable information on there. Regarding the ebooks you mentioned, Dr. Joybert, I mean, I know like with ebooks and different types of books, it really allows us to, reach more audiences and really set ourselves up for scale, because the value that we're sharing in those books, right, it really, again, it speaks to our target market, and the person who's going to purchase that particular book, right, will learn something about Dr. Joybert. And if and when they decide, hey, I want to do this particular thing, they're going to be, thinking, hey, maybe I should reach out to Dr. Joybert since I read this book, right? So how important it is, again, like how does it impact your growth, just having your books, out there and people learning every day, and the compound effect of that, over time that it has on your business and, and on yourself personally, like the kind of, I'm sure, fulfillment that you get out of it after
Yeah.
creating, all these amazing books.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that books are very powerful. Apart from the professional credibility that books communicate to other people, because when you are an author, people see an expert, people see somebody who commands an authority in that field, and it helps you build the right professional brand and credibility in the minds of your target market, or your social media followers, or in an event wherever you are. And of course, books are also ebooks, hard copy books are also a good platform for lead generation, because people can, because of the topic or because of what you covered in the book, it can lead to somebody reaching out to you for a one-on-one consulting, a corporate training in his or her business. Yeah. So, and that's why one thing I always advise authors is when you write your books, either ebooks or you write a hard copy book, always make sure that your contact is very, very visible. Don't make in a way people struggle to reach out to you, right? Either they're reaching out to your team or to you directly, because it can be a very powerful platform for people to just identify with you and believe that you can solve their problem, or be a go-to person, a go-to resource person when they need to move to the next level or achieve something in their career. Yeah, and that's why I have a lot of ebooks that are out there for free, and because I believe that it's good to just share certain things that if you're able to do certain things effortlessly, and if you are able to have the time, create it, document it, and you can also use it. And most of my ebooks that are out for free, apart from the impact, I also use it as a lead generation, or a platform where people can go through now. They can reach out to me. Oh, I read this ebook about you. I have these events coming up. Can you come speak in the events? And the conversation start from there. Oh, I read this ebook here, and I have this problem in my business. What does it take to have you coach or come consult or come train my team? So it creates more opportunities. And as long as it's out there, you never know who is going to read it. You never know which WhatsApp group is going to fall in. You never know which email list someone is going to attach and send. Anything can just happen to it. So it's so powerful to do that. I don't know what somebody will be searching on Amazon and stumble on your book. So anything is possible. I always say that in our professional journeys and our businesses, one of your major responsibilities is to do your best to position your work and yourself where people can find you. Talent is equally distributed, but opportunities are not. And one way to have opportunities come your way is to position yourself where people can find you. It could be just showing up on social media platforms can lead to opportunities. Just having your ebooks out there for free or paid, whatever, could be a platform that can lead to opportunities for you.
Absolutely. I mean, I recently read a book. I'm sure you've read it too. It's by Alex Hermosi, called $100 Million Offers. It's probably one of the most popular book right now going around.
Yeah.
And in that book, he mentions, give everything away for free and charge for the implementation. Right. So
Exactly.
essentially, I mean, that's the idea that you're talking about as well, right? Exactly same thing. You put all your knowledge, information, everything that you have in this book, and you give it to somebody here. This book can at least get you to $3 million.
Mm-hmm.
Why did he write that book? To get them to $3 million? Because that's what his business is. His business is to help businesses, coaching businesses that are at $3 million and get them to 10, 15, $20 million and set them up for an exit.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So he put all that information in a book, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to help all these coaching businesses get to $3 million, and then they're going to become my client. Right. So it's such an insane strategy. Right. And
Yeah.
again, books is such a big part of this, because he's been able to just, again, put all that valuable information in there. Right. And, seeing your books, I mean, it's reminds me of that same thought process,
Yeah.
that I read in that book. So that's really awesome. And I'm sure, like, you probably had the same kind of thinking, when you were thinking about, launching your books, or your first book that you decided to launch.
Yeah.
Right. So actually tell me about yourself, Dr. Joybert. I want to know, like, when you decided to launch your first book, what made you want to launch your first book? What was like in the thought process? What made you want to do it?
My first ever book that I launched, I think, was in 2015, and it was just a very small book, and it only rotated around my community.
Yeah.
I always say that nobody bought that book outside my town, and but the feedback was good, and I did that book when I was just at the very early age of my career, stage of my career, where I was speaking in churches and youth groups and schools and all of that. So it was a book more for young people, and just that community of people that knew me actually bought the book. But I learned a lot from that. And later on, I understood the power of giving out value, writing blog posts and writing on social media, and just sometimes creating checklists or 10-page free material and for young people to just download, even professionals, and more of that. So when you were talking about just putting material for free from that $1 million offer, it has really worked for me over the years. Just dishing out, content as much as possible. And I mean, when it comes to traveling and speaking for free, I've done that a lot because, as I always say, people will not know about you if you sit in your house.
Yeah.
The only way that people can know about you, if people hear you, people see you, they can notice you. So, and until somebody knows you, they're not going to pay for you. I always say that most likely in business, people need to know you, like you, trust you before they can give you money. And the first step will not happen if you are not out there, if you are not showing up, right? So after my first book, I understood the power of showing up and making sure that you give out a lot of value, because the more value you give out, the more credibility and respect you build. So that when you're about to launch a book, you can test your brand or your credibility by doing a pre-launch. From that pre-launch, you can get a sense of how much credibility and influence that you command in your community or in your social media platforms, which gives you a sense of where you're going to and the work that you have been doing. And that's always been my thought process. And one thing about my books is my primary way of selling my books is not bookstores or Amazon per se. That's why naturally I don't do book adverts. Naturally, the best platform to sell my books are on platforms like this, where you hear me speak, and if you find it valuable, you go get my book. So I sell my books mostly in conferences, seminars where I speak. I sell my books through one-on-one coaching, and people come for coaching. And okay, I have this book. I think we'll explain more, and then people buy from there because I use my books as a tool. I see my books as a tool to enhance more success. So most of my books are actually fitted as part of the coaching packages that I offer to people, because I see them as tools that people can use to achieve more, to create more, and to become more in what they do. But if somebody stumbles it on Amazon and buys, good. That's why getting my books on bookshops has never been my primary model, and I've actually never done that because my process is different from that. Yeah.
So like, I mean, when a person comes to you, right, to work with you, I mean, it's such a great thing, right? These books, the impacts that it would have on your clients is that when they decide to work with you, they're already like, maybe 25%, 30% there reading your book because you put everything in there and they're like, hey, maybe I can start on this. So by the time you get to work with them, it's not like that you have to start them from ground up, right? You've given them value, even though they haven't held themselves accountable to go through the entire thing, but they may be done 20%, 25%, which makes your job and our jobs a little bit easier, right? For them to walk them through that process.
Exactly.
So it closes the whole loop, right? In that cycle, when they buy the book, they find it valuable. Like, hey, this guy can help me. I'm gonna go work with them, and then during that time, they're already working on things that you've mentioned to them in the book. So that's why it's so important to have these books out there. And if you're an IT professional looking to start your IT coaching and consulting businesses, leading with digital products is probably the best way to go, because it's the easiest way to provide value. the next person and build trust and in your target market by giving the right value and also showing yourself as the authority that you should be in your target market.
Mhm.
So that's
That is
very
true.
important. Let's also then one question I had for you that I didn't bring up, Dr. Joybert, was when is the right time for IT professionals to get into business? Like, let's say they're starting a career in IT professional, they're a brand new Scrum Master. They've landed a job. Now they've been working 2, 3, 4 years. Like, what's the timeline that they should put into their job to build a certain type of um, expertise and a skill set in that place before they decide, hey, I can do this, or can they do that simultaneously as they learn and build at the same time?
Yeah. My perspective in this case is always in terms of what results have you created or what process have you gone through that you can teach another person? Because many a times, many people don't get to start because they are waiting for the time that they're going to get the perfect experience, the perfect skills, the perfect results, and all of that. And I think many people get to stay for so long without ever starting, or some don't even start at all. Yes, I always respect the place of extensive knowledge, extensive skills, extensive experience. It positions you more to do a lot. But for you to grow from amateur to professional, you need to be doing something, right? Like I was talking to a young guy, and I said he was very passionate about becoming a speaker, trainer, consultant. I said, this is good. This is good. Then I asked him a question. What have you been able to successfully do in your life? He was thinking, and I asked him, can you say that you are very good with time management? He was looking at me. Are you good? Have you mastered how to manage your time very well on a daily basis, weekly, and you get things done at the right time? He said, yes. Go and teach that. Go and teach that. Stop. You don't need to wait for the day you're going to be this and that before you do it. Go and teach that. That's another question. Have you successfully overcome procrastination?
Yeah.
He said, I think so. I said, okay, you know what? Go work on yourself. The day you successfully overcome procrastination, do a virtual paid webinar on steps to overcome procrastination. Teach what you did to other people. It goes same for IT people. If you maybe you successfully learned how to use a particular platform and you're producing results and there's a track record, teach from there. Maybe you have successfully, know how to create engaging content as an IT professional on LinkedIn. Why not do a training? Maybe if they look at the impressions, they look at your likes, you have thousands of likes and all of that. How are you able to do that? You can do a training on how to create engaging content on LinkedIn as an IT professional. And I bet you many guys will be interested because they don't know how to do it. So my point is always, because you create more credibility when you train from results. It's not from longevity. It's not from how long you have been. It's not from how long you have studied. You have 2 PhDs and all of that. Yes, those things are good. But I think nothing beats results. Nothing beats the process you have gone through yourself. So take it, package it, monetize it, market it, and you will definitely do that. And of course, if you have the time to do it and you'll be excited doing it, you'll be motivated doing it, start from where you are. And if you show up consistently for 2 years, for 3 years, I did not start speaking like this. I did not start consulting like this. This is 13 years journey every single day since I resigned from my job to do this every day. And the good thing about human beings is, one thing that is important or validate us as human beings is growth. On a daily basis, we are growing. Every new day we become better and better and better. So there's actually no highest echelon as far as growth is concerned for us human beings. Every single day is an opportunity to learn something new, to become better, to improve, and to create more, and to to unlearn and relearn and learn new things as time goes on. So I advise people, don't fall into that trap of when you will be excellent. Yes, chase excellence, desire excellence, but what have you achieved at your little corner? And what can you teach the next young person or the next fellow professional that they are confused, and you can guide them to achieve what you have achieved already and keep on working on becoming better.
Absolutely right. I mean, because the adaptations will happen throughout your career, right? And the first product that they're going to launch is by far not going to be their best product. And by the time
Exactly.
they get into, 5, 10, 20 products, that's when they'll realize, hey, now this is maybe my best work, right? I mean,
Somebody said, I'm trying, there's this book I read, and the writer said, if a few years later you are not you are not angry, or you don't feel disappointed with your first ever product, then you started late.
yeah,
You started late, of course. Yeah, if you started on time and you're growing, one day will come, you will look back and be, what were you thinking to actually launch something like this? But the point is, that is the step that changed the course of your life. You started with it. And you'll be surprised that even though that the product was not the best, somebody paid for it.
that's right.
They paid because they had a problem. And no matter how terrible your product or service was, you actually solve a problem with that terrible product.
Yeah.
So, and that should encourage you to become better and better on a daily basis.
Absolutely. I mean, that's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. Let's see. I mean, I think we're getting to the end of our podcast, Dr. Joybert. I'm going to open up the floor for some questions. If there's anybody on that are watching us, any questions out there, feel free to drop them in the comments, guys. Drop a like and subscribe to our channels. Help us get this, podcast to reach as many IT professionals as possible. We want to make an impact in your lives, through teaching you and educating you about digital product creations and how you can start your own IT coaching and consulting business. And as Dr. Joybert just mentioned, right now is the time, guys. If you have knowledge and expertise, even if you're just starting out, get started now, because your first product is not going to be the best. It's going to take time. So get going as soon as possible. Don't waste time. It's our number one asset in this life. So any questions, guys, drop them in the comments. We're going to go over a couple other things while we're, waiting for some questions to come on. So let's talk about, Dr. Joybert, one last thing. Give our IT professionals, the biggest, let's say the most important tip that you think, that it is for starting IT coaching consulting business. So what's the number one tip that you can give them? One tip before we log off.
One tip is always upskill. Always find your gaps and fill them. Find your gaps and fill them. When you consistently do that, you will not only be current and always be that resourceful go-to person, you will also feel motivated and you will never be left behind. One thing about the business landscape, and we all know that when you talk about business in this century, technology is like the heart and the kidney of business right now. So one thing about the business and technology, or even the world as a whole, is there's nothing like you are stagnant. If you are not growing, your industry is growing. Yeah. So there's always movement, there's always momentum. So if you are not growing, your industry is growing, and while you're going backward. So you always be the one upskilling. Always pay attention to the latest developments in your industry and what you want to do, and find a way to know it first. And why not teach others on how to get there and get paid, right? So like for example, ChatGPT. I know guys who have made thousands of dollars knowing how to use ChatGPT first, and then creating courses from there and teaching other people, right? Just being up to date and upskilling and reskilling as much as you can. And I believe that one of the most important skills in this dispensation is curiosity. Know how to feed your curiosity is very powerful. It's very powerful. And when you do that and you upskill and you always fill the gaps, you're always striving to be more competent, you will not. I always believe that competent people cannot be affected by turbulences in the economy, inflation, recession, because they will always be needed one way or the other. They can sing all the inflation and recession up and down. Companies will always function, and the people that can enable or intentionally influence these companies to function will always be needed, or the people that can create the needed value to help the rest of the global population to navigate the difficult turbulences, they will always make money. There are guys that made more money in COVID-19 more than any time in history per se for them, because they were able to provide the value and create solutions and guide people or become resourceful during that time. So no matter what you do, make sure you're upskilling, you're reskilling, you're filling gaps in your career as far as skills are concerned, and always take yourself a step further.
That's awesome. That's such great advice. I mean, like for people that are, again, getting into, starting their IT coaching and consulting businesses, right? I mean, it's essential, for them to, again, as you mentioned, upskill, make sure they're always learning, because if they don't learn, right, they're going to fall behind, as you mentioned. But the skills now, especially now, they're being, the growth of our actual industries that we're working on, they're so much faster that it requires us, again, to double our speed to catch up to that, right? Because the skills are just going so fast because of technology. So again, for us, as Dr. Joybert said, learn these skills, upscale, constantly try and use these, new technologies that are coming out and become good at using them, because there's a misconception in the market, right, that, hey, technology is going to take our jobs. Even though it's far from it. We're going to need way more people to work this technology now, right? Because it's really being able to command that machine learning and getting the right results out of it. And picking out the smaller errors that are going to be, the machine learning will give us, because now it's going to give us 95% accuracy. We have to find 5% of the actual error. So it makes our jobs more specialized as human labor, right? People looking for work and trying to get that skills for them to really, build their skills and not really think about that misconception that, hey, I'm going to lose my job. No, you're not going to lose your job. Just build your skill. You'll be fine, right? We're going to need way more people. So that's awesome. Such a great conversation with you, Dr. Joybert. It's been amazing, guys. Order Dr. Joybert's books. There's a description in the link. There's a link in the description. Sorry. Download his books. It's been an amazing conversation. Before we sign off, reach out to us, guys, if you guys are looking to start your IT coaching and consulting businesses. What we do, again, inside the 90-day program of the DigiTree Academy is to launch your course program and then market it, give you sales training, and provide 30 book calls on your calendar within the first 90 days, which gives you the best option to scale, as well as we give you a full sales training with our sales coaches for us to help them scale. So if you guys are looking to start your IT coaching consulting businesses, reach out to us and we can help you out massively. Again, Dr. Joybert, thank you so much for joining us. It's been an amazing conversation. And, thank you so much for joining us and sharing such great, wisdom and knowledge with our viewers.
Thank you so much for having me. Great questions and great discussion. I enjoyed every bit of it. And again, great work you guys are doing, and we're together.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Joybert. Thank you. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Signing off.